Hi, my name's Ken Brophy, and I want to have a chat to you today about 10 tips for effective structural change. Now, whether you're inundated with opportunities or fighting to keep the business afloat at this point, given the impacts of the pandemic, an immediate response from many leaders or business owners is to go straight after structure. Now, while structure does not in itself create the capability to do the work you need to do, it does directly enable or disable the organisation's potential to do so. So, good structures enable the delivery of activities that differentiate your organisation from the competition. Less effective ones disable your ability to execute. So even though structure isn't the only lever available for effectively transforming change in organisations, it can be a really significant one. And for some of you, you've heard me talk in the past about this metaphor of a Rubik's Cube, where structure is one side of the cube, but you've also got others like culture and leadership and process, etc. And the minute you touch one side, it impacts the others. But I'm very conscious that right now, a lot of people are just focused on structural change. So good two good rules of thumbs to remember at this stage is: one, strategy defines the work that's required, which then should help you define the structure that you need. And secondly, don't stop your alignment efforts with structure. And that's where this kind of metaphor of the cube comes in. So coming back to the structural piece, we have a resource called 66 Tips for Effective Organisational Transformation. And so what I want to do today is just share 10 of those tips from a purely structure perspective. So first up, build roles and structures around the work that you're doing, not vice versa. So firstly, if you understand your strategy, understand the work that is going to directly drive that, then design the roles and structures to deliver to that. Secondly, make sure that you separate the strategic work from the necessary work, and avoid grouping or organising the work that directly contributes to your strategy with work that doesn't. So for instance, your salespeople, certainly once we're out of lockdown, are going to need to get out there and be knocking on doors and talking to people. So how do we make sure that they've got the time and focus to do that, while removing perhaps some of the admin burden that they have? Who else can do that for them to allow them to focus on what they need to? And so the third point really builds on that. How do you make sure you structure your back office work for efficiency? So it's really important work. Following up on sales leads and making sure it's put in your CRM is really, really important, but it's just necessary. So how can we be as efficient as possible at doing that work? Now, I get often asked a question, which is, what are my competitors doing? And that's really point 4 here. Don't copy your competitor's structure. Design your structure to facilitate your unique capabilities and strategy. Now, fifth is a chance to actually, with the pandemic and potentially people looking at how they're doing their business, to actually challenge what you're doing. So point 5 is there an opportunity to consider virtual delivery options for performing your work? Are there different ways that you could deliver what you have been doing in the past? Next point is design for end-to-end process ownership. Now, it kind of says it all there in the title, but too often you see multiple people or many people involved in a process end to end, and no one clear around who's owning what and who's doing what. So really, really important, whether you're growing or shrinking your organization, be really clear around who's owning process, who's got that kind of direction to make sure that that thing is working as effectively as it can. Point 7 is make sure you can empower your organization from the bottom up. So how do we reasonable push decision making to the lowest level possible in the organization, so that the right people are focusing on the right things? Again, if you've got key people who need to be out in the marketplace helping your organization to do what it needs to do from a customer perspective, how can we make sure that other people are taking care of some of the work that needs to be happening back at base? Next point is minimize role confusion. So again, whether you're growing or shrinking your organization, how do we make sure that everyone is really clear around who is doing what within your structure, and that everyone is also very clear around the decision rights, so that there is less confusion around who is doing what? And then point 9 is linking across boundaries. So how do we identify the individuals and the groups whose work is interdependent, and how do we make sure that we design the most effective linkages across those boundaries. Because if you've got a sales team who is out there trying to drive your product or your service and creating a whole lot of leads, but then the operational part of the business can't deliver to that, or don't know how to, or don't want to because of cost constraints, then that is a serious issue. So how do we make sure we're effectively linking across those boundaries? And then point 10 is you have to change the work to change your results. If you want to change your results, you have to be willing to change more than just the structure and the reporting relationships. So this is my shout out to thinking about the other sides of the cube to really drive kind of true transformation. So successfully changing an organization, it obviously takes more than just structural change, but if that is an important lever for you right now, then hopefully these 10 tips will help you get that piece right and allow you to carry on growing, given you see an opportunity around helping gain market share, or if you're looking to try to save your business. Clearly, my details are on the website. If you want to have a chat about some of this stuff a bit more, happy to talk it through. Thanks a lot. See ya. Bye.